y'all. Today I'm going to show you how to turn this chair into this chair using chalk paint. I did this chair about a year ago, over a year ago now, using chalk paint. And it's held up really well after a year. I do see a couple of places that I probably could have saturated the paint a little more, like back in that arm, but it's not that noticeable and I can always touch it up probably today. So I chalk painted it, spray painted the legs, and I added the studs to the arms, the bottom corners of the legs, and around the sides and back top, which is probably actually the most difficult part because the frame of this chair is metal, not wood. For this project, you will need a spray bottle, preferably one bigger than that, brushes. You can either use the round chalk paint brushes or just regular paint brushes. You will need chalk paint. I am using Waverly and Peacock, some sort of tin or a tub to mix up your paint in. You will also need chalk paint wax. I am using Waverly and Clear, and some sort of sander. Using your tub, you want to mix your chalk paint with your water. I did 1 part water to 1 part paint. The end result is a paint that's pretty watery, and that's the consistency that you need it to be. And then you just start spraying your fabric with water. You want to really saturate it. As you can see, I've soaked it pretty well. And once you saturate it really good, then you just start applying your paint. And your paint is going to sink into the fabric. Using chalk paint actually is dyeing your fabric. It's letting the paint sink into the fabric. It's not just going to sit on the surface, so you don't have to worry about sitting on it and it getting on your clothes or anything. It is literally dyeing the fabric of your furniture. So you want to saturate it really well. I kind of work in sections, as you'll see. I spray a little bit and then paint. Certain areas like where there are creases and folds, you want to like super saturate it with paint. In those areas, you don't want the paint to sink in and then you're kind of missing some stuff. So I super saturate it in those arm folds right here, because there's like a lot of creases and stuff. And if you have like folds or creases in your fabric, you want to make sure you get in those areas really well so that once the fabric dries, you don't look like you've missed anything. So just continue to spray and paint in sections. As you're spraying, be sure not to spray too large of an area with water in case it takes you too long to get to it with the paint. You don't want it kind of drying out, and therefore the paint won't sink in as much. Once I was finished with the entire chair, I then moved on to the cushion, doing the same process, spraying and painting. The cushion is reversible, so I can easily paint both sides. Just to make the process go faster, I'm only going to paint one side of the cushion. Of course, over time, if it starts to sag or look worn, I'll probably flip it over and do the other side. But for right now, I'm just painting one side of the cushion, making sure I cover the sides, the front, and the back, just to give it a really good, complete look. Hopefully nobody's gonna be flipping my cushion over, therefore they're not gonna notice that I didn't paint the bottom. So, okay, this is the chair after one coat. Excuse the bad lighting. You'll notice some places, and I noticed this one did the first one, like the arms, I don't know why, the paint tends to be more saturated in the arms, but this is pretty good for the first coat. So I will only probably do 2 coats. I think I did 2 coats last time. The important thing is going to be letting this sit overnight so it can really sink in, and then hopefully be mostly dry by the time I get ready for the second coat. Okay, so I accidentally deleted the footage of me showing you what the chair looks like after it dries for 24 hours. I will say that it looks really even. The parts that look kind of splotchy while it was still wet tended to even out. The fabric is going to be pretty crunchy because you've painted it. So after it's dried for 24 hours, you then go on to the sanding process. If you have a texture fabric like mine, just be sure that you're not rubbing too hard. With texture fabrics, the paint is kind of going to be in 2 layers, if that makes any sense. And so I'm just lightly brushing over the areas where I feel like skin will touch the most, just to take away that initial crunchiness.
Hey guys.
After you sand it, you may notice just a little bit paint will come off just a tad. You can kind of see the gold through there, but that's not going to make a difference because I'm about to go back over it again. So that's after sanding it, and you sand it to just kind of give it a softer, smoother feel. Because it's furniture, you're going to be sitting on it, you want it to feel soft. So I've sanded it, and now it is going to be time to do my second and final coat. I have to let that dry for 24 hours, and then I will wax tomorrow. All right, so in a very tragic turn of events, I also deleted the footage of me doing the second coat. Yay! What I'm doing here now is actually the waxing process. You get a lint-free cloth, you pour a little of the wax onto the cloth, and then you just rub it in circular motions all over the fabric of the chair. You do this after the second coat has dried for 24 hours. I'm gonna let this go in real time just so I can explain to you what I did with the second coat. The second coat is done exactly like the first. So you saturate with your fabric with water, and then you begin to apply the paint. I will warn you that when you're doing your second coat, it's going to look like you're doing something wrong because the paint, I guess, is saturating at a slower rate. And so it's going to look really heavy when you're applying your second coat. But do not fear. Don't get scared like me and start spraying on top of the paint because you're scared that it's going to be too thick. Just do the same process, and then overnight the paint is going to sink into the fabric the way it's supposed to, and it'll end up looking like what this chair looks like now. This is after 2 coats. It's not a whole lot of difference from the first coat, so don't be scared. And when you're applying your wax, you can go pretty heavy on it. Just be sure to rub it in really good so that you don't have any kind of buildup. If you leave it as thick as you put it on, it's gonna have like a white kind of residue. You don't want that. You want to really rub the wax into the fabric as much as possible. What this is doing is sealing in your paint, and it's also going to help your furniture have a softer feel too. If you see that blue that's on the rag, that is not coming from the paint rubbing off. That's from me doing my sanding for the second time and forgetting to wipe the residue off. So when you do your waxing, you shouldn't be getting paint onto the rag. I don't remember that happening the first time. I think it was just doing this because I had forgotten to wipe it down after I sanded it. But once you do this process, you have to let the wax dry for 24 hours as well. So this project ends up being like a 3-day project, but I tell y'all, it's definitely worth it in the end. This next step is completely optional, but using a hammer and a decorative nail head trim kit that I also got from Walmart, I am now going to add the decorative nail head studs to my furniture. This kit is super easy to use because every 4 or 5 spaces there's a place for you to actually nail in your stud. I like using this kit as well because it gives you a really neat and even look. If I had to nail in each of these studs one by one, I could end up with a kind of uneven line that could tend to look a little messy. But with this kit where they're already connected, it's really simple to make it look high-end without all the work of nailing in each individual stud. This kit goes really well around curves. It bends really easy. It'll snap off pretty easy too. I did use like some wire cutters just to make the cutting process easier, but I promise y'all this is a very simple, quick way to add a nice high-end look to your furniture. All right, y'all, so this is my final result. I am so glad that I'm finally able to show y'all the process of how you can revive an old piece of furniture with chalk paint. Whether you do like I did and thrift your furniture, or whether you just update something that you already have on hand, this can be a really cost-effective and relatively easy way to get new furniture. I bought both of these pieces off Facebook Marketplace for $40 per chair. They were in excellent condition when I got them. They had barely been used, and for less than $100 per chair, I'm able to have 2 custom pieces. It's totally worth it to me. I would definitely suggest trying it for yourself. It's a little bit of a weekend warrior project, but I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thank y'all so much for watching. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know in the comments if you have some pieces of furniture that you're willing to try this project on. And please subscribe to my channel. I'm really going to try to do better about uploading videos a little bit more frequently.
Thanks for watching and subscribe.